Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan here again with MGS Coaching Football. My subscribers, I thank you. Non-subscribers, I'm really hoping I can tease you into pushing that button. I just completed my 38th year coaching football as a defensive coordinator, but over that time I've been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, longtime head coach, and all of this at both the collegiate and high school levels. In this presentation, what I'd like to talk to you about is one of our empty A.F.C's, automatic front and covers, that we call college. So you have to push the button on subscribers. And we utilize it versus both 10 and 11 personnel, which is good. We utilize it versus 3 by 2 and 4 by 1, right? So we utilize it there. It's our pressure A.F.C. Okay, so it's our pressure automatic front and cover, 6-man box. Okay, so over here on the left are the key terms in order to be able to execute college. And then over here in the diagrams, I have 3 by 2 on the left, our 10 empty formation, our 11 empty formation, and then our 4 by 1s of the same 10 and 11 formations. So I'll show you how the alignment adjustment works. I'll also show you how simple it is for us to adjust the wide receiver motion. Okay? So the first key term, number one, is the front. What college is, it's fixed. It's a fixed 6-man box. And what that means is it's not a front named front that we would play at any other time. Okay, so it's a fixed alignment that we utilize. Okay, it stays left and right, as you'll see, regardless. Okay, we call college A.F.C. and the offense comes out in empty. I'm not saying running back motion to it. I'm saying they come out in empty. So we just say college, college, college. The front lines up left and right. Okay, it's fixed, doesn't change as you'll learn. Okay. So number two, then, how does that impact the back end? The dime, the field corner, and the free safety go to the lizard. So that's either the 3 or the 4 receiver side. Okay, and I'll show that to you in the diagrams. Therefore, number 3, consequently, the other 2 back end defenders, right, 6-man box, so talking about the back 5, the whip and the boundary go opposite the lizard. Okay? So then number 4, when it comes to the alignment, it's much easier to explain in the diagrams. And so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I have no intention of even mentioning the coverage because there is multiple coverages depending upon what pressure it is or simulated pressure. Okay, so non-subscribers. So speaking of number 5, wide receiver motions, we do the same adjustment versus MAC and MOB. Okay, so non-subscribers, again, you're going to have to push the button. That's the last time I'm going to say it. So versus any and all motions by a wide receiver when it's 3 by 2 to 3 by 2. So it's just changing the lizard rip, but it's remaining 3 by 2. It's a rope. And it will involve the 2 safeties and the dime. Okay, and I'll show that to you. When it's a 3 by 2 to start, motion to 4 by 1, or 4 by 1 to start, motion to 3 by 2, it then becomes a rotate. Just the whip and the boundary. Again, as you will see. Okay? So it's pretty simple. Rope and rotate, part of our base system, the 2 ways that we do it. So we just incorporate both into the college A.F.C. Okay? So speaking of running back motion, number 6, when the running back motion is to empty, so the offense comes out, could be a 2-back set, 1-back set, the running back or running backs plural, motion out to empty, that's a check exit for us. It's much easier. Okay? It's much easier for us to get into our check exit, okay, than it is to try and get into this fixed left and right front because the rover could be on the opposite side of where he's supposed to be, and then it looks like a fire drill. And so we don't want to get into that. So when we college A.F.C. is part of the plan, that means the offense comes right out into empty, right? They don't motion a running back to it. Okay, so that's a clear point. So then the last thing here is, why college, right? Why even execute the college A.F.C.? First reason is we want to simulate pressure. And I think you'll figure that out quickly once I start the diagrams. Sim pressures, simulate pressure. Get the offense to thinking, holy crap, they're coming, they're bringing the house, and they make all their protection checks and hot reads and this, that, and the other, right? And then you don't do anything. Or you do. Okay. But that's the number one reason. The second reason here is there are multiple pressure angles, as you'll see once we go through it. And it's up to the offense to try and, again, determine where the pressure is coming from. The third reason, we have both zone and man pressures, so we can utilize this all over the field. Ooh, yeah, so that makes it pretty cool too. Okay, so obviously college can be a bigger part of game plans than others. And on occasion, college ends up being like a halftime adjustment. So, but these are the reasons in the order of importance. First reason is to simulate pressure. Second reason is the multiple pressure angles. The third reason is you can do both zone and man pressures. And the fourth reason, protection issues. You can cause protection issues, especially an offense that's strictly a five-man protection, right? Six-man box, five-man protection. So those are the reasons why we would use college. So now, the only illustrating that I'm going to do is wide receiver motions, whether it's Mac or Mob, and then I'll just circle the adjustments and use circle the players involved, and then use little dashed lines and arrows to show you how the adjustment will work. That's the only thing I'm going to illustrate. As I said earlier, I'm not talking about any coverages. I'm now going to also add, I'm not talking about any pressures of any kind. Our alignment is our disguise, and our alignment is our simulated pressure. Hence the number one reason we would use this. So again, over here I have 3x2 formation. We just got Toledo empty. Okay, now bear in mind there are derivations of this, but if it's 5 wide receivers, 3 on one side, 2 on the other, to us it's Toledo. Okay, I can't get into 99 different names for the different ways that they line up the 5 wide receivers. All right. Down here, the Texas empty, there are 4 wide receivers because there's a tight end. Okay, so this is the 3x2. Texas empty. And again, same thing. There can be derivations and how they set them up. I can't be bothered with all different names. If 2's on the line and 1's off and he's 2's on and 3's off and tight, forget it. That's Texas. That's Toledo. Boom, done. Right? You want your players to play fast. You got to simplify it for them and explain why. Okay? So I'm going to start over here first, okay, with the 3x2. So I'll show you how this works versus the 3x2 Toledo empty, the 3x2 Texas empty. Okay, when I say that, I mean the fixed, right, number 1. That fixed front, that's left and right. So the end, who's always left, lines up in a 5. The backer walks up on the line of scrimmage. His inside toes on the outside toe of the guard, so he's threatening the B gap right now. He lines up his toe on the toes of the nose, so he's not off sides. The nose is in a 1 shade left. These, again, automatic. It's fixed, left and right. The stud is in a 3 technique on the right. Again, he's always right. And the rover, and this is why, again, if the running back motions to empty, we can't check to this, because what if the rover's lined up over you? You know what I mean? So if the offense comes out in it, the rover stays in a stand-up 5 technique. And the Mike stays at depth 4 yards, but he's head up on the tackle. So there's your 6-man box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You got all 5 offensive linemen covered. Hence, protection issues. Hence, simulated pressure. Hence, right, multiple pressure angles. That doesn't necessarily account for both zone and man pressures, but all right, we've already made the point. Okay, so now the alignments, right, that I said I do over here. So the dime, the field, and the free safety. So this would be a Liz, right? 3 wide receivers are left. The dime apex is 2 and 3, and by doing that, he gets on the heels of the defensive end, so he doesn't get too deep. If you don't give him a tangible landmark, you'll notice he's 5 yards off the football. You don't want that. Apex them, in between them, on the heels of the DN, right? Corner is always 1 by 7. The free is 1 by 12 Ike inside of number 3. There it is. Boom, done. On the 2 receiver side, right? Because remember, whip and boundary go opposite the Liz or rip. So it's Liz, they go right. Corner, 1 by 7. The whip, 1 by 8. Ike, number 2, which is a safety rule in our base defense anyway. No detached outside backer. You walk up to 1 by 8. So there is our base college look to 3 by 2 Toledo, 5 wide receiver set. Okay? So now, remember, 3 by 2, motion of 3 by 2. So now we're on number 5, right? Any wide receiver motions, it's a rope involving the dime and the 2 safeties. So let's just say that number 3 is the guy that's going to go in motion. He goes in MAC motion, right? So it went from 3 by 2 to 3 by 2. So obviously it would check to rip, but then here's who's involved. These 3 defenders. So he crosses behind the center or crosses in front of the quarterback. He screws down now to apex 2 and 3. He ropes over. He's pulled, right? The rope concept. And now he's pulled to the 1 by 8 over 2, right? So he goes from 1 by 12 Ike 3 on this side to 1 by 12 Ike 3 on this side. Now the dime is 1 by 8 over 2 like the whip was, and now the whip is apexing 2 and 3 like the dime was. There it is. That's it. These guys never change. It's fixed. Remember that. Fixed. I purposely have Liz's over here and rips, Liz is here and rips on the bottom on purpose, as you'll see. Apologize. So now down here, 3 by 2, the Texas, right? It's a rip because 1, 2, 3, right? Only 4 wide receivers and a tight end are over here, but notice the box is the same, right? End backer, no stud, rover. End backer, no stud, rover, Mike. Fixed. Fixed. Okay, this is the simplicity, why players love it. Okay, the dime still apexes 2 and 3, still 1 by 7. Now with 3's a tight end, here's the obvious difference. Now the safety's 1 by 12, Oscar on number 3. Still 1 by 8 Ike on 2, still 1 by 7. Still everything stays the same, right? So now I'll show you the adjustment 3 by 2 to 4 by 1. It's the exact same up here. I'm just going to show you, right? I don't want to make all kinds of messes. This was 3 by 2 to 3 by 2. This is 3 by 2 to 4 by 1. So there it goes, right? This brings in the rotate. So now the whip rotates to the middle at 15 yards, and the boundary corner moves up and outside press. Okay, outside press. And there it is. Nobody else adjusts. Woohoo! Gotta love it. Yeah, and remember, not talking anything about coverage. Nothing. You have to see another presentation. Okay? That's the adjustment. There's the rotate. And because it's 3 by 2 to 4 by 1, rip stays rip. Doesn't even change that. And again, these guys never move. So over here, okay, starts off in 4 by 1. Okay? So again, up top, the Toledo's a Liz. On the bottom, the Texas is a Rip. I'm doing that on purpose so you can see how the box is fixed and doesn't change. And you can see how the dime, field, and free safety align, right? So now we got the 4 wide receivers. See, there's your box all set. See, now they're already aligned. Outside press, 15 yards over the ball. Woohoo! It's middle of the field, middle of the field, middle of the field, middle of the field. Okay? So now the safety aligns 1x12 Ike over 3 again. Apex 2 and 3 again on the heels. 1x7 again. Wow! And that's it. Okay? So now, right? Remember the rule here. 3x2 to 4x1. 4x1 to 3x2. It's the same rotate. So I'm going to show that to you up here. There it is. Same 2 guys. Okay? 4x1's involved. It's a rotate. Whether you go from 3x2 to 4x1 or they start in 4x1 and they go back to 3x2. It's rotate. Okay? 3x2 stays 3x2. You rope it. Wow. Okay? So now down here, right? Same thing, only now it's Texas. Again, Apex 2 and 3. Stays 1x12 icon 3. He's 15 over the middle, 1x7. The box is the same, and outside press. Zooms over. There's your rotate. Stayed rip. Because that's still the 3 receiver side. Wow! So that's our college look, and that's why we run it. Okay? We've used it more some years than others. It's kind of like a lot of things, okay? You got to decide which is best for you based upon your personnel, their experience, their talents, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and how you match up. So as I said at the beginning, my subscribers, I thank you. Non-subscribers, I've hoped I've teased you into pushing that button. To everybody, any questions at all, please, CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com. Please reach out to me, and I'd like to take the time to thank you so much for watching MJS Coaching Football.